Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jack Balbus with Oasis Digital and Angular Bootcamp, and together with me I have.
Kyle Cordes.
Lance Finney.
Chris Arden.
Zachary Given.
And for this episode, we're going to be discussing some more of Zachary's branches of proposed changes to the Angular Bootcamp curriculum. So tell me about this branch that you want us to look at. So it's this right here. Let me move this
Two
up.
of which, yeah.
Just this.
So this current branch that we're looking at was actually someone, like one of the students pointed out. It was just like an off thing. He was just like, hey, by the way. But so far, like the class.disable binding we're doing doesn't actually have any UI changes to it. Like if you remove that, there's no change, and we could show it. Yeah.
Let's get on the branch and bring it up in the running code and see what we see.
Make sure you check it out.
And I think, was it Paul that was saying, or was it you that was saying that it's kind of there as a placeholder, like you would probably add some styling?
Well, I think at some point in the past, it actually was relevant. Possibly, like this might even predate the materialized CSS we're running. This might have been from like when we were using Bootstrap or some of our own custom stuff.
Okay.
So it might just be like we just need to recreate a class that's custom.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we
which
may
is
give
fine.
it a different name
Right,
too to make
yeah.
it more clear what's
So
going
what
on.
control was this on? This is on the button,
So it does
Right
look
here?
disabled,
Disable button.
already.
disabled button.
Right,
Okay.
because
See.
Windows disabled by default grays out buttons.
Okay.
And the material CSS just kind of picks up on that natively. You don't have to assign a
That's
class
this
to it.
button.
So let's figure out. So look at that first line you see over there. It says .button.disabled.
But there's also button
But
colon
there's-
disabled.
Yeah,
So it goes
there's
more
also,
on the state versus the class.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, okay, so doesn't that mean that it's materialized CSS that's making sure the button is visually disabled,
Yes.
not built-in behavior?
Windows has like a little bit of like you can't click on it and stuff like that. But specifically the way it looks is gonna be
Windows?
The browser.
No, sorry, browser.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't mean Windows.
Okay, so you're saying that
Sorry.
if you make a form element
Would be Windows
disabled,
on Edge, but
browsers will make it
Yeah.
visually
it
a
should
little
be grayed out.
disabled.
Yeah.
But furthermore, materialize that we're using makes it even more stylistically disabled.
But I have been on projects where the CSS that we have, if you needed to have both, because sometimes it could look like it was disabled, but it wouldn't actually be, and sometimes it would be disabled, but it wouldn't look like it. With this CSS library, we don't have that problem. Other CSS libraries would. So I'm kind of leaning towards keep it in there so that we can talk about sometimes it's necessary, even if it's not here, but maybe we just focus to the CSS library we're actually using. I don't know.
Also,
I would also just fix the library at that point.
What would you
So it
think
sounds
if
like
we
file
gave it a different name to make it more clear that it's a class? Like why, and like then we could talk about, or we could even add a little bit of CSS in there to make a class.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
sometimes not all things that you want to be disabled actually have that as an attribute. Like if you're using A tags for buttons.
Correct.
Yeah, so maybe
Yeah.
a better
That's why
example
you
would
have
be if
class.
you were doing one of that. Like you want to, so something that we often try and do in the curriculum, right, is offer a motivated example.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to do that here because there's already a marker on this element that CSS can grab
Right.
to show that it's disabled.
Is there anything else we could put on the screen that would not do that automatic thing? Like, what if we wanted to like make the form itself go a little gray? Or like, can we come up with some motivated reason to give? Because it's really good in class to be able to talk about, hey, you often want to not only rely on the actual disabledness, you often want to do a class so you can give your CSS team more hooks.
Right. Do we also want to, at that point, talk about the whole you're not supposed to disable things in the template?
Why are you not supposed to disable?
You'll get warnings from Angular. Like if you bind to disabled on anything.
In Reactive Forms.
Yeah.
If
Reactive
you
Forms.
Wait, what?
if you use the standard disabled on something that is controlled by a form control, it will say, no, I want you to use the Reactive Forms method for
Like
disabling.
form groups, form controls, anything that's
Right,
reactive.
right.
You
Yeah.
can. So buttons are fine. But
Interesting.
like inputs and like divs that are bound to
So
things.
even the part that you kept is not necessarily a great habit.
This? No, this is fine.
Well,
There's not a button.
Yeah.
The button is fine. But
The
like,
button's not a
Form.
angular reactive form control. Interesting. That's kind of out of. If we want to talk about that, we should do it in the context of the form control where it comes up.
Right,
well,
that's what I
but this
said. But
is
if
the
you
reactive form step.
right, and if you
No,
wanted
it
to do
is.
your thing where you disable the entire form, you'd have to do it the reactive forms way, not the template-driven way.
Okay. Okay.
well, and also the reactive forms automatically add a class for you for a lot of these things. So if something is disabled,
Right, yeah, that's the thing. So like,
And
you
it's a-
actually modify the state.
yeah. So if a reactive form control is disabled programmatically, then Angular automatically adds a class for you
I'm gonna
anyway.
key off that.
I mean, we have the active, or can you go back to the browser?
Active and inactive.
We have that active and active. We could actually make that do something, and we could have, pay attention to those, and if we do inactive, it'll gray out all the other things in there. And so then we would have actual disabled, like
Yeah.
active and active could mean something here, because
Does
it
it?
doesn't currently.
Because we can enable and disable the form reactive.
Yeah, but that.
functions.
Why would you have a?
For
Why would you have a?
active or inactive record?
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
look at
Right.
the record.
Yeah. I don't think it makes sense for that to like disable the form. That would be really.
Do we
weird.
want to have an optional form control then, or
Like-
something?
So
How about this? How about if we just add some bit of explanatory text next to the button, right? And then maybe we just like do something on that to like change that text, change its form, make it bold or not bold, or hide it or something based on some aspect of the form state, which is really like based on the validity or something. Maybe because we're doing this based on valid. So just because like the idea we're trying to get across is you almost always end up wanting to do some kind of CSS binding based on the validity of your form. So let's just like add a p tag right after it that just says, please fix
But like,
form
we're already
errors so you
doing
can
that
save.
anyways in multiple places. Like we already have an example of binding to a class
Well,
with
yeah.
like valid on a control.
Do we?
Don't
Okay.
judge me, okay?
Yeah. Can we go back to the browser for a sec? Scroll down, please. We have form validity false. What if we move that up next to the button? Because
That's. I mean, we're trying to put like the realist example up in that
Okay.
top card, not trying to like put like
Well, I guess I'm trying to still like distill what the original like thought of having this here was.
So the original thought was, hey, depending on how like elegant and complete your CSS kit is, and keeping in mind that many projects are working in an environment where somebody else provided a CSS kit and said, y'all are using this whether you like it or not, it's very often helpful to like drop a marker class on there of some kind in addition to the actual disablement. That's all the original intention was.
But I feel
I
like
mean-
we kind of show that through some of the other form controls where we have the error, because there are things where we're just literally letting in the materialized CSS bind to the automatically assigned classes, and there's cases where we're not.
Can you show
I
me a
wonder-
case where we're handling it?
so the invalidity and different things in the form.
So one of the main cases where we do our own custom CSS is a weird like strobe light thing,
Yeah.
and then we
No, I mean-
also
Oh yeah.
and then we also have
Form
this thing.
context. Are we doing is this here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and then we also have one where we just
But-
at the border, but we're not doing it. We just let materialize do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to look at in this HTML.
Yeah, there's a ton.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like we really need to go that far when we're talking about like
You're saying
these
maybe
things.
maybe the curriculum is so much more complete than it was when we were doing this that this doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, well, because we have a whole.
'Cause I would
nother
buy that.
We have a whole other step about class and style bindings, where we
Yeah.
talk about how you can arbitrarily set classes based on whatever information you care about.
Do we do anything else where we talk about the validity of the whole reactive form though? Because
I mean, we're right there, right? That.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Where we're
This-
setting
this
the
is-
disabled.
Yeah, I think this is probably fine how it is. I think the thing we were trying to show, we've beat on it so many different ways by now in the curriculum that just that concern from what we taught people 4 years ago when we started this it's covered. I think we should just go with it.
Okay, so we're good
What do
with
you
just
think?
accepting this branch.
What do you think?
I think I'm good with that.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you want to just
So
maybe
we've got-
cherry pick it onto our proposed master?
Cherry pick.
More than 5.
Okay. So let me see here. I'm trying to see how long is our session?
Ten
Gone
minutes.
about And we wasted. So it's been about 9. Yeah, we should probably. Well. And what's our next topic to discuss?
The
bounce time.
moving the bounce time in a
Yeah, that's going to be a huge discussion.
Yeah, it was-
so we
and
should go
also,
ahead and
like,
say
a
goodbye to
typing
everybody.
situation.
Wrap this
Alright.
one and
We'll see you
get
guys.
the next one going.
We'll see you all next time. Make sure to do all the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe.
Yeah.
Twitter handles are
Yes.
down below if you want to hear more about us on Twitter. So,
We're supposed to promote our Instagram. We just don't have one. So
okay.
Okay.
You should make us
Bye-bye.
an Instagram.